So today we will discover Japan, I guess.
Oh, modestly. Modestly, I will try to introduce what is Japan economically, in the economic side.
Okay, so thank you again for accepting, sharing with us your knowledge, your business English with an amazing manner that we need all. Thanks for Club des Dirigeants once a time for all what it offers in this time, and I'm happy, and we are all happy to hear from you what we will learn this time. We will discover business English in a different manner.
Yeah, exactly. My courses are quite atypical in the way of teaching. I try to enlarge the general knowledge, the business general knowledge to the people by talking about some countries that has economically. So we try to move from different places in the globe. During the last session, we were talking about Canada, before about China, Morocco, Africa, and today let's discover Japan. So to be honest with you, such courses that I delivered to all of you today, I hosted in China. So because I was working before in Metten, which is an international training center based in China, and my students were executives such as you, managers, engineers, CEOs. So these courses are really adapted to this niche, to this target, like such as professionals who want at the same time acquire the business vocabulary and also to open the mind of what's happening in the globe, which is essential if you want to establish any business, any strategy, and negotiate with international partners to be aware about the big change and the big update happening in the world.
Monsieur Mohamed, c'est bon pour le partage sur Facebook, c'est bon, pouvez partager aussi sur votre page.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. President, and Eid Mubarak, Saeed.
You are welcome. You are welcome.
Okay. Okay, so I think we can start. So first of all, welcome to everyone, and Eid Mubarak Saeed. I wish you all the best. I hope that this holy month was very beneficial to all of us in terms of health, spiritual impact, and also spending the time with families and enriching ourselves, because definitely this month is the moment that we focus spiritually. All our actions are oriented to our Creator, and this action of sacrificing our pleasure of conception is one of the therapies to energize ourselves and to reboost our mood and to refresh our body and spirit. So I hope that you are fine with all your families. And once again, Eid Mubarak Saeed. Now is the time of enjoying. So let's enjoy with knowledge. Let's enjoy by discovering an admiring country which is located at the east coast of Asia. C'est le pays du soleil levant, which is called Japan. Okay. So first of all, Japan is a member of three very important organizations. He's the member of Security Council of United Nations. He's a member of the G20. So G20 reunites and regroups the 20 most powerful countries economically, geostrategically, and geopolitically. So we can name Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Russia, China, and so on. But as well, Japan is a member of G7, and G7 regroups or reunites the 7 most powerful countries in terms of which indicators they are the most advanced countries in terms of technologies and research and development. And Japan is among of these 7 countries. It's United States, Canada, France, Germany, United Kingdom, Italy, and Japan. Because Japan is the 3rd most advanced country economically in terms of GDP. So naturally, it should be belonging of these powerful representative communities. Okay, so let's hear. This is just about the cultural and philosophical parts of Japan. We cannot describe Japan. We cannot describe Japanese people, Japanese habits, Japanese lifestyle without talking about Ikigai. So Ikigai here is the secret of why Japanese people are those who live longer and happily among all of the people. And this is the Japanese concept, means a reason of being. And Ikigai is taught, is teaching from the schools to the children, and it's the, how to say, is the base, is the fundamental way of teaching the life. So Ikigai is the concept that can help every people to find his reason for being. Donc la raison d'être, reason of being, or reason for being. And here you will ask me, why is it so important to find your reason of being? Because your reason of being, once you find it, it means you find your vocation, you find your enlightenment, you find your ways. C'est trouver sa voie, trouver sa vocation, trouver sa lumière interne. And so once you find your ikigai, means your reason of being, then naturally you can at the same times perform in the society, you can become naturally productive because you love what you are doing. And by loving what you are doing, you can also be fulfilled and happy. And this is the biggest wishes and the biggest objective that people want to reach, which is to join between fulfillment and prosperity in your career. Heureux et prospère point de vue académique. So this is the main goal of Ikigai. And Ikigai said, if you really, you need to find the intersection, 4 big questions. What you are good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. Once you answer to the big 4 questions, and you find a consensus within these 4 circles, then you can consider and legitimate yourself as on your ikigai. I will give you an example. What do I love? I love sport. I love practicing football. Excellent. That's amazing. What you're good at, Momo? I'm good at playing football. I'm good at playing football. I can run very fast. I can be very productive to my teammates, and I can help them to win the matches. But do you think that by playing football, you can be paid for? Oh my God, I'm already 30 years old. And I'm not professional. I'm just an amateur. So by playing football, by doing what you love, can you be paid for? No. Then this ikigai is removed and you try once again. What do you love? I love transmitting the information. I love hosting and speak. Excellent. What you're good at? I'm good at speaking. I'm good at sharing my emotions. What the world needs? The world needs teachers. Good. What you can be paid for? Yes, the world always needs teachers. Then, is it the ikigai? Yes, it's the ikigai, because you can at the same time doing what you love and be paid for. And this is very deeply interesting in the both side, because we see in our career a lot of people who are successful in his career development, but they are not so fulfilled and happy. And we have a lot of cases like that. And at the same time, we have a lot of people who enjoy what they are doing, but they didn't analyze the market. And finally, their expertise don't respond to a need of the market. So at the Ikigai is the intersection between doing what you love, but at the same time, you need to be pragmatic and focus on something that can cover a need in the market. And once you cover a need in the market, naturally, you become productive, and then you can be paid, and therefore you can build a family and be responsible in the society. This is just the definition and the illustration of what is Ikigai, and which is the concept that the Japanese people consider a lot before choosing their career, choosing the academic courses, choosing their job, and choosing their lifestyle. Do you have any questions?
So don't be shy. If you have any question, you can ask them now. So you have understood the Ikigai concept. It's a very nice concept.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for the webinar. I have just one question, please, about you must practice to be able to speak fluently. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I didn't hear very well.
She was asking, so what she should do to be in speaking fluently. Like you. I guess. I've completed the question.
It's the practice by doing. The language is a vivable concept, is a vivable, livable and vivable concept. You should practice a language if you want to improve it. You know, it's once I start teaching in English that my language has been increased significantly. So my advice is you need to immerse yourself to the English environment by whether joining the communities, the English corners, to have some English native friends, by studying in English, reading the article in English. So you need to be close to the English world environment. Yes, in Morocco is not a really specific land to improve the English, but with your personal involvement, but your personal motivation, you can bring the English world in your life. How? With the digital, with the technology, with the internet. Internet is a miraculous way to make the people very close and interconnected despite of the geographical location distance. That's amazing. So it's up to your motivation, miss, but you have to practice. Language is about practicing. Learning by doing, teaching by doing, and improving by practicing. That's my advice.
So it could be included in our Ikigai?
Of course, naturally, because no, Ikigai is a reason of your being. You have to choose ta raison de vivre. You have to choose the reason why do you exist. the reason why, the motivation that lets you wake up with full of energy, positive energy. But we cannot separate your fulfillment by doing something that you don't like in your job. The job, the career, has a big part of our personal fulfillment. So it's very important that by answering to these 4 questions, to do something that's at the same time provide you excitement, like immaterialistic acquisition and benefit, and at the same time gives you economic and financial prosperity and stability. This is what I'm talking, and I give the example of football. I love football and I love teaching. Why I didn't choose football? Because I'm too old to be professional. Because if I focus on football, I risk to not be able to build a family and to make money. But I choose teaching because by teaching, I can make money, I can have a salary, and therefore be fulfilled and be responsible and being able to marry the wife that I love. That's it. This is the main reason. This is the main, one of the main purpose of the Ikigai is to reconcile what do you love and what you can be paid for. What do you enjoy doing and what the world can give you as a compensation of your activities. Okay.
Please, Mr. BENCHEKROUN, I have a question on Facebook, which is concerning Ikigai. They said, how can a child find the Ikigai? Oh, it's Ikigai, especially if it takes to know what he loves and can be paid for, and he is still a child.
We're not talking about the children. We are talking about those who will start their career development. So it's once you get your high school diploma, and then you have to make a strategic decision about your academical orientation. Then Ikigai has its added value to our life. So it doesn't concern the children, but you can sensibilize the children. You can talk with your kids. You can understand like you are parents, you can understand, you can feel what your kids like, what your kids don't like, but how? By invite him to do several activities, by invite him to do art, sport, traveling, and therefore by diversifying him the activities, you as a parent, you will have more precise idea of what does his profile is doing for, and what is profile and what career he can excel on. This is very important. So we can know ourselves, it's only by discovering new activities, by doing new activities, by living away from our comfort zone, and then to always discovering. The best enemy of knowing ourselves is the routine. The routine is our best enemy, and our best friend is innovation, new things, new activities. So Ikigai, it targets the young people, the teenagers, and those who should make a transition between high school and universities, and also universities to the professional career.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And here you can read satisfaction but feeling of uselessness, comfortable but feeling of emptiness, excitement and complacency but sense of uncertainty, delight and fullness but no wealth. So if you are in this circle, you will miss something. But if you are in Ikigai, okay, so if you are here, you will miss something. If you are here, you will feel the empty. What means empty? Because you will not do, you are very far from your passion. But if you are here, you are very far from productivity and having the compensation and salary. Like here, no wealth. But when you are in Ikigai, is the intersection between your passion, your abilities, the need of the market, and the compensation. So we need to be at this circle of our reflection.
Well, Mohammed, hello. So is it possible to say that Ikigai is the model designed by the Japanese to have a successful career in life? So, but basically what I've noticed in this Ikigai model, they didn't show people, they didn't have tools to say to people that what you love, for instance, to find out what you love. Most people are struggling to find out what they love. And as you know, when we were a child, our parents tell us that you need to do this, you have to do that. So the voices of the environment around us. So we somehow lost this connection with our own being. And most people, they don't know what they really love. And it's the most difficult thing most people are struggling with. So I don't know if the Japanese have a techniques or something that makes people connect again to their being, to discover who they really are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you so much. Here, of course, it's not easy. If it was so easy, everyone will be happy and successful in the life, isn't it? It's because it's complex. It's because it's difficult to access our enlightenment, that it's necessary to be aware of this consideration from our childhood. Like, it's very important, since you are 10, you are aware of your action, that your parents, your teachers must teach you and let you understand that my kids, you know, what is the most important in the life is not only to make money, but only to keep positive, to keep happy, because also happy is immaterial wealth. So by sensibilizing this, by giving to our kids these marks of what is a success, then you start with your kids by let him discovering the world, by doing new activities. We know ourselves. So the advice is you should always live away from your comfort zone, from your routine, and by always doing new things every day, every week, reading new books, then you can discover ourselves. It's by experience ourselves in the life that you can know yourself very deeply. And of course, it's not so easy trajectory. It's very complex, and we will face many obstacles and many barriers. Definitely it's not easy, but it's because it's not easy that it's strategic. It's because it's strategic that it should be at the front line of the teaching and education.
Exactly, yes. Yes, brilliant, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry. Okay, fine. So let's move on. If no other question about Ikigai, we can move on.
We have Manal Bidar, who is raising her hand.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
First, I would like to thank you, sir, for the amazing presentation. I absolutely love the topic. And my question is very simple. You've talked about this on a professional level, about job and people who are working. But my question here is about students. Personally, I'm studying, and I was just wondering if I could, practice this ikigai while I'm studying. Is it possible? And how can I do it? Because I'm not working yet, and I absolutely love this whole concept. So how can I do it while I'm still studying? I'm not working yet.
Okay, so what's your major?
Science.
Science. What kind of science?
Well, in fact, I'm still in high school. I'm in baccalaureate, and I'm studying science and maths, and I'm absolutely interested in this whole concept, and I loved your presentation, and I would like to practice it in my life, to get ready.
Yes, excellent. That's really, this is the ideal time to really make this introspection and to try to answer to these 4 questions, and therefore by finding your ikigai, that establish your career. This is a very good time. My advice to you, miss, is that finding your ikigai is not a rigid concept. You can say, okay, today this is my ikigai, but maybe 2 years later you could know a change, because we are constantly knowing ourselves by experience the life. So my advice here is, don't be frustrated if by establishing the ikigai this year, you discover that finally it wouldn't be your real ikigai, and then you must be able to change. Because once again, moreover we live, moreover we advance in the age, and moreover we get maturity and wisdom, and maybe we are close to finding our enlightenment and vocation. That means that you should be able to overcome also the failures, to overcome and to adapt yourself for flexibility and adaptation. And never consider the failure or to change your program or to change your major as a loss of time. No, it's just redirection, reorientation. And we should understand that we must pass through our experience to know more about our life. So you can start already now by answer to your questions. You can have some personalized approach with yourself by contacting your coach, or either by contacting me on my Facebook. It's a big pleasure to help you. So we can establish like a dialogue to know about your passions, your hobbies, your qualities in your studies. What do you enjoy? What do you like to read? By detecting your passions, your qualities, your pleasures, then we can reconcile with the world of rationalism, pragmatism, and the opportunities. So definitely you need a coach. You need someone who is more experienced that can really guide you as effectively as possible.
Yes, I got it. Thank you so much for these pieces of advice, and I will make sure to practice what you said. And thank you again. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, but definitely as I said, it's not so. And your ikigai could be changed, and I will not say it could be ameliorated, could be enhancing by discovering new things. But never consider, please, the reorientation of the change of your program as a failure or frustration. No, because the world, because the life is a constant discovering of ourselves. We can never make a fixed result, say, okay, Momo is doing for that, and that's it. I don't want to learn more about nothing. No, you should always be flexible by understanding and analyzing the scenarios and the situation that we live every day. It requires wisdom, flexibility, and adaptation. Happiness, success, self-esteem, fulfillment are the highest need according to the Maslow pyramid. It's because it is the highest need that is the most difficult need to reach. That's why it's a daily effort with ourselves. Okay. Any comments on Facebook?
No, I was I told you what was written.
So let's move on.
I'm following questions.
So here are some Japanese brands. I don't know if you can recognize. So here, for sure, it's the famous Japanese brand, and it shows that Japanese economy is industrialized and is based on. The Japanese industry has an history. It's not a new country. It's not a new economic country, but for them, the industry is sacred. It's something that's untouchable, that it represents the pride of Japan. And you can see all of this brand is just a succession of many experiences within 1 or 2 centuries. So here are the general information of Japan. So the population is around 126 million people. The major language is Japanese, of course. The religion is Buddhism and Shintoism. And the life expectancy, as I said, is one of the highest in the world. It's 81 for the men and 87 for women. Life expectancy veut dire l'espérance de vie, and the currency is the yen. So let's make some diagnostic of Japanese economy. So one of the first advantage is a privileged location in a dynamic region, and definitely I can only be totally agree with this characteristic, because with the emergence, because all of this region in Asia, their culture is based on the workforce, based on the work values, based on performance, based on pride and development. So when your neighbor are dynamic, wants to establish cooperation despite of political disparities, and this is really important to focus on. Japanese and Chinese people are the biggest enemies. They made the war several times. Japan has colonized China. But these political disparities didn't stop the economic and business cooperation. And it shows the sense of pragmatism among the Asian people. You can be my enemy, but it will not stop me to gain with you by cooperating with my adversary. And this is, I think, we should really learn from them. We can have some political disparity with our neighbor, but for the interest of my country, in order to develop my country, I should overcome these disparities and establish cooperation. So when China has integrated WTO in 2001 and has boosted the world economy to the up, the neighborhood countries of China were the first one who have gained and benefit from this from the Chinese emergence. Same as Vietnam now. Vietnam is one of these countries who now, due to this proximity with China, has become the new industrial base of attracting the foreign investment. So naturally, when your neighbor is Korea, China, Malaysia, Singapore, definitely it's a boost of your economy. So naturally, it's a privileged location. A very high level of national saving is around 23%, which is higher than the average, the world average saving. The Japanese debt is definitely extremely high, is almost 300% of their GDP, but the good advantage is that 90% among this debt is owned by local investors. So when the debt of a country is owned by the local investor, by the local partners, you can acquire and maintain your sovereignty and your independence in terms of politics and in terms of political decision, rather than being totally dependent from the external investors such as IMF or the World Bank, which when they borrow you the money, when they lend you the money, therefore they ask you, they require you, they force you to do some political reforms, and therefore you lose all your sovereignty. So yes, Japanese economy is deeply debted, but due to this specificity that this debt is internally owned, that they have maintained their sovereignty and such kind of independence. And also the fourth advantage of Japan is a well-developed industrial base with high technology. Definitely, we all know that one of the biggest soft power of Japan is his branding and his product. The best way to valorize the image of your country is by selling, is that your made in should be valuable and high quality. And this is very similar to Germany. And this is why China is trying to cover its deficit in terms of soft skills. It's because the Chinese product has been exported in all around the world, but based on the cheap quality, now they try to cover this deficit by investing on technology and then selling some high qualitative products such as Huawei, Tencent, Alibaba, Xiaomi, Oppo, and so on. So definitely, and I can ensure you that Japan is considered as inspiring leader for Chinese government and Chinese people. So about the weaknesses is difficulty of consolidating the public finance, is because they have a big debt, big consumption, so they are always in deficit, and therefore they need to find a way to cover and to pay back this debt, which is really difficult, but this is the common point of among all the developed countries, including China, including European countries, North American countries. All of them are extremely debted and have difficulties to cover and to pay back those money and those funds. One of the big weaknesses of Japan drawback is the reduction of their workforce. And this is it's due to the reduction and decrease of their demography. They have very old demography in Japan. The fertility rate is extremely low, and therefore they don't have enough young generation to be able to maintain the high level of intensity and productivity in their industries. And this is very similar to Germany. Germany also, their population is very old. They have elder population and demography, but their solution was to attract the foreign people, Syrian people, Sub-Saharan people, North American people, Turkish people. They were very open. They have opened their borders to the new migrants and new workforce. But in Japan, you should understand that Asian countries, they are very nationalistic in their regime. Japan is for Japanese, Korea is for Koreans, China is for Chinese. They will never accept the massive immigration. So what is the solution to cover this gap? Is that they have invested on artificial intelligence. They believe that the robotization can replace the human in the company. It's really a big challenge. It's a big, it's very risky, but they don't have choices. So they believe that the robotization, the integration of artificial intelligence in their business production can cover the lack of young generation people. Political instability, and here is about the recent past history of Japan due to the Second World War, the two nuclear in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They have a lot of, and also you should understand that Japan is not independent military. They lost of their sovereignty military. So they are very vulnerable to any external invasion in their land. Because when they have lost the war against the US imposed them to be demilitarized in their security and in their defense. And this fact has naturally created some weaknesses and some instability in the regime. And also low productivity of SMEs. And here is about small and middle enterprise. Why? This is the common drawback of all the countries that the economy is fully monopolized by the big companies. So when you have historical companies such as Toyota, such as Mitsubishi, such as Uniqlo, and they are so strong, so they impose a lot of barriers to the new emergent and the newborn companies. When you want to set up your company and then you want to rival and to compete with historical and deep companies, then you don't fight with the same tools, with the same capacities, and therefore the productivities of the small and middle-sized company decrease, and therefore they loss of the productivities and they loss of the capacity of progressing. This is the main drawback of having ancestral and historical industry brands. They cannot accept the emergence of the new companies because they are so powerful. Okay, so I want to read some message.
A question from Mr. Shatibi, he thinks that Japanese men does not accept women as a workforce, especially if they are married, and he is asking if it is true.
Oh, actually, to be honest, I have never been in Japan, and I didn't read such, I didn't make some lectures about the woman integration. But I can make the comparison with China. If you can permit this comparison. In China, the women are extremely strong in the company, are those who control the finance of the family businesses. And my instinct, my feeling is that this cultural characteristic in China could be similar in its neighborhood countries, Japan and Korea. So I don't think that the women, they are not emancipated economically in Japan. But I have some reserve about this because I didn't make any lecture about this part.
Okay, thank you for sharing your thoughts and your knowledge from China's experience.
Yeah, we have to be some humble and cannot risk and to say something that we are not sure about it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so here let's analyze the GDP evolution of Japanese economy. And you can read it and you can see here in 2012, it has known a deep and strong decrease of his GDP from 2012 and 2013. And what is the reason? The causes are both. It's emanated from the decrease of the consumption from the householders and also the inflation. So once the product became expensive due to the inflation, naturally it impacts the domestic consumption, and this is what the main cause that's pushed down the GDP. Because when you are developed countries, your GDP growth is mainly based on the domestic market, on the domestic consumption, because you are independent from the export. And as the Japanese people dispose on one of the highest GDP per capita, therefore, so their GDP has been dynamized from the domestic market. But once in 2012 they have known the big inflation, therefore the consumption has been decreased, and this is the reason why we can see the batter of the curve of the Japanese GDP. So in 2017, the GDP was around $4,800 billion. So the rank of Japan, they are the third most powerful economy in the world. The GDP of US is $21,000 billion. The GDP of China is $13,000 billion, and Morocco is $110 billion. Look here at the demography of Japan. As I told you, the main problem. In 2010, it has known a stagnation and also a small decrease. In 2010, the demography was around 128 million people, and in 2018, it has been decreased to 126 million people. It's really dramatic, because if you analyze the curve of the world population, is increasing significantly, but only in Japan that they have a decrease of their demography. And this is the big problem and the big issue in their country. Here are some indicators, economic indicators. So in the employment rate is about 2.2%. The GDP per capita is extremely high. As you can see, 38,428 US dollars in 2017. And you can analyze the public debt. It's almost is 240%. It's extremely high. The GDP of Italy is more than 100. The GDP of US is around 200. And the GDP of China is almost 300%. So it means that we must invest if you want to boost our economy. That's the cost is that you are deeply indebted. And the current accounts balance is it has a surplus around 3.8% according to their GDP. So here, just for about the GDP per capita. So the first one is Qatar. The second one is Macau, Luxembourg, Singapore, Brunei, Ireland, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Switzerland, Santa Marino, Norway. And their GDP per capita is around, the first one is $61,000, and in Japan is $38,000. So it's not the high GDP per capita, but it's enough prosper and advanced. But the first one, the most advanced in terms of the highest GDP per capita in the world is Qatar, after is Macau and Luxembourg. So what is the common point of those countries? And they are small and rich. You can be whether rich by natural resources, such as Qatar and United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and you can be rich by your human capital, by your human brain. This is for Singapore, Ireland, Switzerland, and so on. So the highest GDP per capita are those who are very small countries, but extremely wealthy, and this wealth could be emanated from material capital, such as resources, or immaterial capital, such as human brain and education. Okay, so here, how about Morocco and Morocco and Japan cooperation? So Japan is the first foreign investor in Morocco. Wow. Did you know that? Japan is the first foreign investor in Morocco. They have implemented 71 companies and created 40,000 jobs. You will tell me why? Why it's so strange? Normally it should be France, because France is our former colonizer. It could be United States. It could be Arabic country. It could be Spain because of the proximity. But why Japan? Why Japan is so interested in Morocco? In Morocco? Because of automotive industry. Yeah, automotive industry is one of the consequence of their interest, but the real reason is this one. Japan and Morocco. So Japan externalized the FDI, like FDA or FDI, foreign direct investment to Morocco. It's because Japan wants to avoid by implementing their industry in Morocco. They will avoid the import tax. They will avoid the high taxation system in their country, and they can benefit from the free trade agreement that Morocco has signed with several countries. They can gain in terms of cost. They can gain in terms of competitiveness based on the cost, and also they can implement their factory on a stable and sustainable country. And there, by implementing the factories in Morocco, they can export to European Union, to Turkey, for example, to United States, to the Arabic world, and to Africa. So why Japan is so interested on Morocco? It's considered as the gateway to Europe, Africa, and United States, because they can gain on the free trade agreement. They can no longer pay the import tax. They can avoid the high labor cost. And then also, you should understand that in Morocco, we enjoy to a very attractive taxation regime in our free zone, whether in Tangier, Kenitra, and Casablanca. Casablanca is in Nouassa. So this is the NATO cooperation between Morocco and the faraway countries, because by shipping from Japan to Europe, it takes longer and the cost is higher. But if you implement one of the industry or one of the part of the supply chain in Morocco, you can gain on costing, you can gain on time, and you know that when you gain on time and you gain on cost, here are the two tremendous and comparative advantages that can lead you the market and gain on the market share. So this is the typical business and economic model of Morocco that's offered, that's proposed to the rest of the world. And that's why also China is now interested in implementing their factories in Morocco. If Japan make it, China will do it as well, because these two countries are located at the same area, and therefore they will gain on the same, they could enjoy on the same benefits by cooperating with Morocco. Is it clear?
I have a comment. It's not a question. It's a comment on Facebook Live, where they say that Japan is interested by the whole Africa, not especially Morocco. But what we are seeing is that the investments are in Morocco more than another country. Is it about geographical position of Morocco, or it would start by Morocco because Morocco is open to investment, and then it could?
This is a very good question. So why Morocco is a privilege? Vous m'entendez? Did you hear me?
Yes. So yes, why? You have a clear voice.
Okay, excellent. So why Morocco is a strategic and privileged partner for Japan in the Mediterranean area and Africa is due to the historical cooperation between the Moroccan kingdom regime and the Japanese kingdom regime. The both kingdom regime have enjoyed to the very friendship and brotherhood cooperation, and they appreciate each other, and they trust each other. And when you have similarities on the political regime, and also you share the same philosophy and the same vision of the world, which is the openness, to be open, to have prioritized the liberalism rather than communism, this fact has placed Morocco as a privileged partner with Japan. This is also the reason why Morocco is still not a privileged partner to China, due to the opposition of ideology before. But now that we move to pragmatism and the ideology is not so important, then China can also come in and become a partner. So why Japan advanced China in terms of investment in Morocco and why they have chosen Morocco rather than other countries, for example, Algeria, because of the regime. It's because Morocco is a kingdom and Japan is a kingdom that's really encourage and create some sensibilities and understanding in terms of cooperation.
Okay, thank you. So
yeah, this is the additional factor that explain the strong cooperation, but we have also the economic factor, the economic explanation, which is free trade agreement, competitiveness, and stability. They will make more profit by establishing the factory in Morocco, definitely. This is win-win business because you have a business approach and business goal approach. Definitely.
So it gives Morocco more points.
Exactly.
And a great score to be, if we could say it like that.
I didn't hear you. Sorry, it's blocked.
I said that it gives Morocco more points and scores to be like a target for these investments and these stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when you understand the culture of the other country, when you have maintained a strong historical cooperation, naturally you are easygoing to establish business with them. And this is the reality between Japan and Morocco.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
You are welcome, Pukachi.
So, have another questions. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I think about the photo you are putting. How Morocco will be gate of Morocco for Japan to USA. Japan is the first partner of USA. We can talk about gate of Africa or Europe.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Totally, but this is very interesting. Yes, Morocco, he cannot be the gateway for the west coast of US. If you, the west coast of US, definitely we are not competitive because it's closer to ship from Japan to California and Seattle. But at the east coast of the US, definitely Morocco is closer than the east coast than Japan.
Yeah.
Like Florida, Miami, New York, and so on. It depends on in which market you will sell, in which area in the US, because US it's a big country geographically and in terms of superficie.
Okay, I have just another comment which almost compare with Japanese vision and Chinese vision about Moroccan business or Moroccan economical Moroccan business. So I guess I think you have answered or talked about this, that between China and Japan there is some similarities. That's what I have understood. Please correct if I missed something. That there is several similarities, but is there any specific thing about Japan which could let Japan see economy in Morocco differently than China?
You are talking about the perception. And the question is, there is a different perception from China and Japan to Morocco, right?
Yeah.
I don't
especially
think,
on
I
business?
don't think that there are different perceptions. It's because they are located at the same area and they enjoy finally to the same characteristic advantage and also drawbacks. And I see Morocco as a gateway that can gain on timing, shipping date, and also shipping costs and cost of labor. Finally, they perceive Morocco at the same way, which is gateway, platform of investment, and also a piece of cards or a piece of or a partner to European market, African market, East Coast of Europe and Middle East. I think they perceive Morocco at the same way,
yeah,
which is
the key to Europe.
Is the key to
We
Europe,
can say
definitely.
it's the key to Europe. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Not only to Europe, but also to Africa. Very important, because Morocco is African country and its economy is fully oriented to the sub-Saharan countries.
Okay.
Because Morocco is the first African investor in Africa. And the Moroccan bank's profit, the 1/3 of the Moroccan bank profit is emanated from the sub-Saharan markets.
Okay.
Yeah. And also our ecosystems is deeply implemented in Ivory Coast, Senegal, and all of these countries.
Yeah. Even telecom company, for instance.
Of course, telecommunication companies.
We have Moroccan historical operator in several countries, African countries.
We can be proud of it.
Yeah.
Well, of course, and also insurance companies. So when I went to Ivory Coast maybe 3 years ago, I had been impressed by the Moroccan economy domination and presence in Ivory Coast markets. I saw the Moroccan banks, the Moroccan insurance government has gained a lot of public tenders of infrastructures, and they compete the Chinese companies. That's impressive. Impressive.
Very nice. Nice. And see if I have the...
Okay.
Oops. Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead. So now let's talk between China and Japan. What does China export to Japan? And you can see in the blue color concern all equipment, computers, broadcast equipment, and also in the green color is the textile, the t-shirt, the short, the Gap, and etc. And also we have in the gray color is the furniture. So finally, I don't know if you remember, the Chinese product, the China exports exactly same items to all around the world. The Chinese electronic products plus textile products plus furniture Chinese products are exported and are desired everywhere you go. So when you analyze the trade balance and what China exports with each partner, you will see that the predominant product exported is first one electronics, second one is textile, and the third one is furniture. That was the essence of the Chinese economy boom and expansion. But on the contrary, that's really interesting to understand what Japan exports to China. And here, that's really interesting. In the blue color, it's also electronics items, but you can see it's more highly qualified, highly productive electronic items from Japan. Integrated circuits, telephones, and also they export machineries. The machineries who are necessary for the production, for the industry in China. This is really amazing and impressive. When you meet, for example, a Chinese factory, when you meet a CEO of Chinese factory, they always tell you, if you want to give value to his business, he say, you know, my customers are Japanese, or my customers are Germany. And you can see here, my equipment machineries are both is made in Japan or made in Germany. It means that in the perception and in the imaginary of Chinese people and the rest of the world, Japan product is equivalent to productivity and quality. That's why the Japan, they have facility to buy and to export and to sell the equipment to China. And as China is the factory of the world, and as China represents 28.8% of the world production, then they have the big need of attracting and buying the high qualitative machineries. And also they buy, they export the vehicle part and food business, the food items, the meats. The Japanese are very famous in their meat. One of the most delicious and expensive meats are the Japanese, because their vegetation or the way of treating the animals and the meat is very difficult, is with a lot of sensibility, with love and with consideration. So they have different way of treating the animals. And surprisingly, China has a deficit with Japan. And this is extremely rare. Chinese he has a surplus with all of the countries. For example, with the United States, China has a surplus of around $400 billion. That's why Trump was very angry and wanted to renegotiate the trade agreement and the trade deal with China. But with Japan, China has a deficit. With Japan, China buy more than they sell. That's really strange. Why? You should tell me what is the reason. The reason is because Japanese items are very attractive due to the high quality and high technology. But you would tell me, okay, but also American items are high qualitative. Also Germany items are high qualitative. But so why with Germany they have a surplus and with Japan they have a deficit? The reason is so simple. When you make a tender, the Japanese items are always more attractive to buy, to sell in China than Germany, is due to geographical proximity, because of the shipping date and shipping cost. When German machine and Japanese machine, and they compete to sell for one company. The Chinese, they always, most of the time, they choose the Japanese because the shipping cost is lower and the shipping date is more quick in terms of shipping date because of the geographical location, because it's a neighborhood. That's why that's conclude us to think that it's very important in the world, in the globalization, to prioritize the cooperation with the neighborhood, to reinforce the cooperation within your neighborhood countries. And you cannot reinforce the trade cooperation within your neighborhood countries without signing a peaceful relation. Without peace, we cannot reinforce and strengthen our cooperation, because I will have more facilities to export my products to the neighbor country more than to sell in the faraway countries. And the COVID-19 is the accelerator of this cooperation, of this trend cooperation. The world will tend more to deal regionally more than globally. This is also one of the biggest learning and the biggest orientation that the world is moving on. That's why in Morocco, we have to sign peaceful with Algeria, with our neighbor countries, to be able to know a boom in our economy, definitely. Because we have more, because we sell easier in our neighbor than in faraway country. And this is the reason why China has a deficit with Japan in the balance trade. And thank you so much for your listening. This is the end of my lecture. If you have any questions, I am here to answer.
So, we were happy about what we have learned, because today I've told you in the beginning of the meeting that you are doing much more expected. We were expecting to learn business English, and now we have learned business English and discovering Japan in a different manner. So if you have any question or anything you want to share with our our English coach, coach and our lecturer, if you have something to share, we are listening. Otherwise, I'm happy to serve in this meeting. I'm thanking everybody joining here in Zoom and on the live Facebook. I was following the both, and there were much comments and questions everywhere. Thanks to Mr. Dristrif, the president of Club des Dirigeants, who is hosting this event each Saturday. So I used to meet Mr. BENCHEKROUN each Saturday to learn from him and from his knowledge. Thanks to everyone here sharing their advices, their questions, their comments. And I'll say thank you all. Eid Mubarak, Said. Tomorrow is we will celebrate the end of Ramadan and the Eid. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.